Why do you think there are a lot of black people who vote for the DA? Yeah.
I grew up, my father grew up, my grandfather grew up believing that white was at the top, I'm in the middle, and black is at the bottom.
Yes.
We are so quick to disregard the trauma that we've suffered as a nation, the trauma that we suffer on a daily basis. And I feel like maybe the DA knows that. Maybe they do it on purpose, that they play on that subconscious. I think that's the case. I hope it's not the case. They've put very strategically white male leaders into strategic positions. And they say, oh, we don't see color. So why isn't your party leadership more representative? Why did Musi leave? Why did Lindiwe leave? Why did Auntie Pat leave? Why did all of these up-and-coming or strong brown leaders, why do they not survive?
Is it possible also that South Africans have gotten to a point where parties don't matter so much?
Yeah.
They are voting for anyone who can at least deliver.
I don't think the ANC does enough of we got this wrong.
Yeah, okay.
I think the DA will secure at least 5 of the 8 major metros.
Whoa.
King David Studio Podcast.
I hope you're well.
I am indeed. It's a little bit hot here in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
It's
been a weird week of cold and hot, very cloudy. It's been a very weird week. That's why I wake up wearing a jacket. Afternoon, I don't want anything to do with it. It's been that kind of week as well. Yeah. But what are you doing here in Joburg?
I am actually attending a Global South Media and Think Tank Forum, which my company, Independent Media, is co-hosting along with Xinhua, the state news agency in China, and the African Union. So it's a 3-way co-hosting. We're talking about the challenges facing the Global South, particularly in the media space, but really focusing on sort of people-to-people exchanges, ideas exchanges in the Global South. You know, we're trying to break this Western hegemony. We're trying to really establish ourselves, and I think the West is right to be threatened. We're talking about de-dollarization. We're talking about challenging the narratives that infiltrate us. We've grown up watching American movies where we go like, hey, the Chinese are bad, all the Russians are bad.
The Japanese.
They're always the bad guys, right? They're always the bad guys. Now now that sort of the walls have come down and we're participating and we're talking to each other, actually, we've been lied to.
Now we're getting to see the lies.
Now we're getting to see it, yeah.
It's amazing. It's Lance Witten, is independent online chief, editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
It's a big title, man.
It's a lot of work.
I was trending on your...
Ooh, yeah.
On your newspaper. Created problems for me, but it's fine. Let's let it go. You've done quite a bit in the media space. You work for TV and radio.
TV, radio, digital media, print media. I've been in the media space, not necessarily news media, but the media space for 25 years now. It's been
you're a veteran.
A quarter century, bro.
Big title to be a veteran. It's too much responsibility. Do you know what brought me to your attention? When you wrote an article about the DA.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Yes.
And I'll quote one or two of the lines. You opened the title with a statement, while positioning itself as a non-racial party, the DA seems hell-bent on reminding everyone how important race is. Help us get to understand what you mean by that.
It's an interesting point, right? Because the DA likes to say, we're a non-racial party. Helen Zille likes to say, I don't see color. But when you look at the positions and the ministries and the people that they put into power, it's very clear that there is this white savior complex going on within the Democratic Alliance, right? It's this white is right. And it's playing on those racial oppressive tendencies that we have so ingrained in us as South Africans because of our history. So you've got... prior to this government of national convenience, right? This GNU, this sham of a government.
So what do you think?
I won't tell you how I really feel. You've got this government of national unity. Prior to this, the DA is the opposition. So prior to elections 2024, the DA is in opposition. They put out this whole thing about, we're talking about expropriation without compensation. the ordinary South African doesn't understand exactly what it means, right? So they think, and the DA played a very strong role in talking about Zimbabwe-style land grabs, right? They want to take your farm, they want to dispossess you of your land. That's not the case at all. Read the bill. Well, it's an act now, but if you read the act, it's underutilized land. It's land that's been sitting with PRASA or sitting with Transnet for decades, underused,
or private owners,
and it's not being utilized. Now we say, okay, right, let's take that land. It's not saying, oh, I'm going to go to David's house. I take David's house,
and just snatch it.
Yeah. Now the DA puts this whole thing, and they go on about expropriation without compensation. And if we're going to end up like Zimbabwe, we're going to be starving. We're going to have famine. We're going to have drought. We can't handle that. Now they get into the government and they put an agriculture minister, a white man, in that position, right?
Whom we haven't seen much.
Yeah, exactly. Although, I mean, the statement that came out yesterday about Dion George and Willie Oukamp is very suspect for me, right? It came across as John Steenhuisen instructing President Cyril Ramaphosa to change this minister.
Yes.
But there's a whole thing that we're working on.
We'll get there. Let's stay with this.
We'll get to that one. So they've put very strategically white male leaders into strategic positions. And they say, oh, we don't see color. So why isn't your party leadership more representative? Why did Musi leave? Why did Lindiwe leave? Why did Antipat leave? Why do all of these up-and-coming or strong brown leaders, why do they not survive? And that's the kind of thing that I think people, I don't think they recognize it, but once you point it out, they oh.
Do you, because clearly you highlighted very strongly in your article, but they have a black minister, a female nogal.
Yeah.
So they went.
Yes,
exactly. So they can easily argue that, but your statement is not completely correct.
Hey, Helen sent me a WhatsApp, Chief.
There you go. There you go. And was it a flattering WhatsApp?
It was quite the opposite.
because she can easily argue that you're not 100% correct. What do you react to that?
Look, I mean, she had said to me that I have an issue with what you're saying about BEE. She had no issue with what I was saying about in her WhatsApp conversation with me. It didn't come across that it was about, it was about BEE. And I was, we engaged with it. I said, no, look, I understand BEE has not been rolled out effectively. I understand there are opportunities for corruption. I understand all of that. But in principle, I believe in my heart of hearts, it's the right thing to do. Redress is the right thing to do.
Yes.
And she says, yeah, but that's exactly what our equitable, whatever they plan to replace BEE. And I'm like, I don't think so, Helen. She says, no, well, I disagree with you. I said, no, that's fine. Why don't you and I get together? We'll sit around the table. We'll switch some cameras on. We'll debate it. We'll have a discussion about it.
I hope she agreed.
She's gone.
She'll come.
We'll see. I'll reach out to her again.
Helen Zille is never afraid of talking.
Exactly.
To journalists.
And I like engage. I love it when things that I write get picked up by politicians, I want to engage because often I'm writing from maybe a point of ignorance.
Yes.
Inform me. Let me know. Right?
Or your own filter.
Yeah.
That has made you see the world differently.
Exactly. So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know where am I going wrong.
Do we still suffer the white is right syndrome? And how deeply rooted is that from your perspective?
So it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to admit, right? I had a staff member of mine based here in Joburg, and he says to me, national government, I vote ANC, but where I live, I vote DA in my ward.
Okay.
I said, Vusi, why? No, because when you have a white man, he's going to make sure there's no potholes, there's running water, street lights are fixed. White people complain. We don't like to complain, right? I will stand in the queue at my bank on a Saturday morning with 10 people in front of me. Or more. And there's one teller. Not one of the brown people are going to say, why don't you open up a teller? One white woman comes behind me. Can't they see? You know, and maybe we need to complain more. Maybe we as brown people need to learn to complain more, but it comes from a very deep-seated sense of a lack of self-worth.
Yeah.
This is what I deserve. I'll wait. It's okay.
But where do where do you get that? Where do we get that?
I think it's a hangover from apartheid. I think it's a hangover of the oppression that we dealt with. That like your voice doesn't matter, right? So coming back to your question, right?
Yes.
So I have to look at it personally and I have to go, okay, right. When I, as a brown man, I have 4 quotes in front of me to do work at my house. And there's a black guy, there's a colored guy, there's a white guy. I'm looking at these quotes, right?
And a Zimbabwean guy.
I'm going to go with the Zimbabwean guy. You look at it and I know, if I take the colored contractor, the guy's going to say he's going to be there at 8. He's only going to rock up at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. The job's going to take much longer than he said it was. There's going to be additional costs. There's going to be delays. And this is all in our minds, right? This is all subconscious.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? If I get the white guy, this guy was on time for his appointment. He's probably going to, and then even if the quote runs over, even if there's additional, I seem to be more forgiving of that guy than I am of, and can we talk about Palestine?
Yeah, please.
Right? So myself and one of my other senior leaders were talking about Palestine. But it was before the peace plan that subsequently went to the recent peace plan that has now been shot to the Trump peace plan. And we were talking about this and we were saying it's so heartbreaking. Like, what if Israel doesn't get involved again? And because there's this vacuum of power, what if a stronger terror organization steps in? Because that's what happens when there's a vacuum of power.
It's up for the taking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody steps in, the country, the people get subjected to hell. It turns into an oppressive regime. You see, we told you. And it's like, we in South Africa, it's almost like we're waiting for our leaders to fail. It's like we're waiting because we don't want to celebrate black excellence. We don't want to, we don't want to see the good. Why? Okay, Tyler's doing a thing. Now we're all happy for Tyler.
Got you. Yes.
But like, why don't we do that every day? Why aren't we promoting?
Is there enough to celebrate? Going back to your quotes, that you're likely to categorize them based on bad service, good service, late service. Even if it's expensive, it's white, it's likely to be right. You do realize that the job will be done by a black guy, though.
No, exactly. And that's the heartbreaking thing, right? So we got somebody to do our floors. We're wooden floors in the bedroom. We got somebody to come in and do the floors. It just so happened that this was the cheapest quote, but it was a black guy who's self-employed. He's bought his own machines. And I'm like, I want you because I want to support you. Hey, the guy, he quotes us, the job's going to take us 4 days.
Yeah.
Right? I say, okay, cool. 4 days, no problem. He was done in 2.
Wow.
Done, clean, no mess, no damage, no. It was the best flooring job I've ever seen.
It saddens me that I said wow, because it means I'm just as surprised as you were.
But why should I have to feel? I have to feel surprised. So I think there's this hangover of white is right. I feel that there's this hangover, and then they tell it in their stories, right? The Blind Side with Sandra Bullock. This white woman rescues this poor, sad black boy from my best friend in high school. He was adopted by the
white family,
by the family that his mother worked for.
Okay,
and
common story, by the way.
Common story. We went to high school together, right? He couldn't speak English in grade 6. By matric, by the time him and I were learning isiXhosa in matric, he was speaking isiXhosa with a white accent.
Ach nee.
So, but it's like, this white savior. Oh, but we saved him. And we gave him all this opportunity. And now, look what he's done with his life. We are so quick to disregard the trauma that we've suffered as a nation, the trauma that we suffer on a daily basis, and and I feel like maybe the DA knows that. Maybe they do it on purpose, that they play on that subconscious. I think that's the case. I hope it's not the case. That being said, I know there are really excellent, amazing leaders within the DA who care about people, who care about transformation, who care about moving South Africa forward, who are truly non-racial. But I don't think you can be non-racial without an agenda. I think you have to be acutely aware of race.
Of the dynamics of race.
Basically,
it's an ingredient in the
potjie.
Yes. It's like, there's a little race problem here. I can use it.
But I've got to recognize it, right? So I've got to check my own privilege, because I know that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, somebody like me would have had a better opportunity than somebody like you.
Do you recognize still that somebody like you might get a better opportunity today than many years ago?
100%.
In certain spaces.
100%. I think there are still spaces that are dominated by, look at golf.
Yeah.
Look at tennis.
Okay.
Look at
rugby.
Rugby. Look at paddle. Like, but our captain's black. Our captain Sia's black.
Yes.
But like, have we moved on? Have we? And like, the problem that I have, David, is people like Helen, people who say, I don't see race. You're whitewashing everybody's trauma. Just get over it. Apartheid happened so long ago.
Is it wrong for someone to say that?
I feel it is.
Okay.
I feel it is.
Yeah.
I feel you can't. If we're starting a 100-meter dash and you're starting from 20 meters in,
I think it's 50 meters.
You've got to recognize that. You've got to recognize it. Oh no, but you were 50 meters behind me 40 years ago. Yeah, but for the majority of us, we still are.
From your observation, and again based on the article you wrote, is there intentional forgetfulness of the apartheid problems that came with it? Is it, hey man, can we pretend we don't remember so we can conveniently move on? What are you observing?
I think we went through the TRC and we thought, right, everything is fine. Everything's fine. All is forgiven. I'm not Jesus. I can't just forgive without reparations. There must be, if you want progress, if you want this relationship to, if you're a man and you cheat on your wife,
yes,
you can't just say sorry and move on. You have to make up for it.
True.
Something else must happen. Yes. Exactly. You have to put in the work.
No more partying for 3 years.
Exactly. Now I need to understand why the majority, I won't say all white people, but the majority feel, but you must now move on. How long are you going to hold a grudge? That's not for you to decide. That's for the injured party to decide. When I'm ready to forgive you, and I will be ready to forgive you when I feel that you've done right by me, and I don't think we've done right.
What led to the genocide narrative, besides Trump's madness, that it got perpetuated so easily, and some people easily believed it? Because in some way it connects to your article, because there are white people who believe that a lot of wrong is happening to them. So could that be part of the narrative that is used by other what you call it, political parties?
It really could be. It really could be. And we know, and the people that I speak to, the people that we speak to in the big metros, in Durban, in Joburg, in Cape Town, they understand this isn't happening, right?
Of course.
But the majority don't. I want to take you back to 2016. Donald Trump wins the election. 2019, I am in New York and I'm sitting with a group of New York journalists and other American journalists, some from Washington, some from LA. So these are guys from the more liberal cities. And I said, how did you guys let this happen? And they said, because we weren't listening to the American Midwest. We weren't listening to everyday Americans. We were listening to the residents of Washington, the residents of New York, the residents of LA, the residents of Chicago. We weren't listening to Detroit. We weren't listening to Mississippi. We weren't listening to Alabama. We weren't listening to Texas. And because we as the media weren't listening, we didn't realize just how easily somebody like Trump could play on those insecurities. So now we transpose to South Africa.
Yeah.
We know you and I can sit here and we can talk openly and discuss and debate, and we understand the position from which we're doing it. But somebody in Brakpan or somebody in, what are these white townships in Pretoria?
Benoni.
Yeah,
In
I look
Pretoria,
at,
yes.
No, listen.
Marawastad.
When I used to get so, I was so amazed as a youngster traveling to Johannesburg with my family, and now we're driving around, and there's a white guy begging at the streets. I didn't see that in Cape Town.
Never.
You don't see that in Cape Town.
Yes.
White people begging. How? Now it's happening now. But
it only now.
But only now.
Only recently.
And then somebody, one of my family members goes, yeah, you did apartheid wrong.
if you're begging now.
If you're begging now, you did apartheid wrong. Now, I look at this and I go, there are legitimate fears that people have. And groups like Solidarity, AfriForum play on those fears and hype them up. And you've still got, I come back to the hangover of apartheid, that hangover of the swart gevaar, right? The same way we are still scared of German Shepherd dogs is the same way.
And we call them what? Police dogs.
Police dogs,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the same way, nobody's going to drive a yellow bakkie because in your mind,
there's trauma.
It's trauma, exactly. So you've got this, and I think it's very easy to play on those fears, and then those fears get amplified. Remember, it's far easier for a bad message to spread than a good message. Fake news travels faster than the truth. Rumors travel faster than the truth. So when you've got this fear, a fear can drive that, right? And it's the easiest emotion to trigger. It's the easiest. Oh, they're coming for your jobs. Hey, look at the xenophobia that's happening in our country. Consistently.
They're coming for your jobs.
They're coming for your jobs.
Yeah.
They're coming for you. You didn't have a job before.
Which job?
Which job are they coming for?
I get it.
You know? So I think it's fear. And
is it working though for the DA?
I think the DA, now that it is part of government, I think they've dialed back quite significantly on that sort of fear mongering. It was very interesting. There was a march, I think it was just before the Bella Bill.
Yes, they march in Pretoria.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the colours
where they were wearing orange.
Yes. White and blue.
Yeah. I remember that.
Bro, what? But
I remember even a leader of the Patriotic Alliance went, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Patriotic Alliance, a lot of these parties are DA light, right? I mean, they're funded by the same people. They stand for the same things. They're on varying ends of the political spectrum, where the DA is trying to present itself as centrist. They're not really. They're centre-right. So they need a party like the Patriotic Alliance to be a little bit more right-wing. They need somebody like Raism Mzansi to appeal to the younger right-leaning people.
Got you.
They need somebody like Bosa. They need those splinter cells to kind of break down the support for the socialist parties, for the left-leaning parties, break down support for MK, for EFF and ANC, because they know it's not diluting their support base, because essentially when it comes to parliament, those parties are going to vote along the same lines.
Absolutely. But if you count numbers, purely numbers of, if votes were based on race in South Africa, the DA wouldn't be doing as well as it's doing.
No, absolutely. They've been very strategic in these negotiations with, but again, playing on that swart gevaar. Oh, you don't want the EFF in charge. Oh,
is that another fear-mongering
exactly.
type of approach?
Rather, hey, Cyril, come. Rather get into bed with us, right? And I mean, we know Cyril, how far we've strayed from the ANC of old, right? And we know Cyril is pro-business. We know Cyril's he's on the right end of the.
You think he's not? Is he pure ANC?
I don't think he's pure ANC. I mean, he is coming in at the tail end of a very sharp ANC decline over many years. And it breaks my heart, bro. It breaks my heart. This is our liberation movement, Africa's oldest liberation movement. It breaks my heart to see how far the ANC has fallen.
Yeah.
but they've not done themselves any favors. You know, they've not covered themselves in glory. And again, I come back to this. There are good people in the ANC. There are good people in the DA. There are good people in BOSA. There are good people in the PA. I'm sure of it. But as an organization, we're failing our people.
Do you think, because you do look into the next elections, 2026 local government elections, in your analysis, what do you think is likely to happen? Let's talk specifically about the DA, because they're actively, talking about what they want to do. Yeah. What do you think is likely to happen using the theme of race mongering and fear-based mongering?
Yeah.
What is likely to happen?
I think the DA will secure at least 5 of the 8 major metros.
Whoa!
And I think they're going to use that as the springboard.
Which 5?
City of Cape Town, I think
naturally,
they'll get it. Nelson Mandela Bay is a tricky one because it's always up and down, right? But I think they'll get it this time. I say Joburg, even though I know
with the Helen approach.
Even though I know with the Helen approach,
Yeah.
even though I know that she's facing some stiff competition. You've got Herman, former mayor.
Okay.
You've got Kenny, who's
very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And he's a man of action, right? I mean, I've seen Kenny go, he's MMC for transport. The man is going into hijacked buildings and cutting illegal connections, right?
Yes.
I'm a fan of Kenny's.
But
right?
you think there's enough numbers to support him?
I don't know. But remember, Kenny also comes from a party that speaks about Abahambe. Right?
That's true.
So
that's true.
You're playing on that fear.
Another fear.
Right? Another
yes.
fear. I think Helen is going to use the fact that look how well we govern in the city of Cape Town. Look how in Cape Town there are no potholes. Look, I was driving down here, through the city, and you realize, Joburg's in a sad state, man. It is.
Just so you know, this is the nicest it's been.
It has,
thanks to the G20.
Oh, okay.
This is an improved version. What you're seeing is an improved version. It's been worse.
We bumped into Dada Marrero. We bumped into the mayor earlier. He was at the Global South Media and Think Tank Forum. Yeah, and he came in a pick-it-up jacket, right?
Ooh.
And I was like, "Oh, that's very strategic,
Gosh, hey,
right?
man,
Look at me,
working.
Mr. Fix-It. I got my bomb squad working, and I'm doing the things." Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to engage with him, but one of my journalists did, Simon Majadibodo, and Simon, lovely young and upcoming political writer, is an absolute star.
Yeah.
Simon writes a story about it because I said to him, "Ask Dada, are you going to be ready for G2? G2 is next week."
Hey man, I think he'll. If you have a big house, ne?
Yeah.
And you know that the guests are coming in from the gate to the living room, and they might end up in the sitting room or in the dining room. Let's clean those.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't get into the other rooms, because what's likely to happen. There's not enough time.
Yeah.
And also, what saddens me, because that's what I was talking about on the radio today as well, is that it saddens all of us that it's happening because of G20. It shouldn't be. This should be the standard, that everything is clean all the time. And that's probably why we are where we are, where parties like DA think this is up for grabs.
Yeah.
We can snatch it. And parties like the Action SA saying this is up for grabs because of that.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's possible that the DA might take it. What about Tshwane?
Possibly in a coalition. I think the DA will take it there.
With Silius.
I'm a big fan of Nasipi. I think she's a.
We had a chat here. She was the last guest here, actually.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Dr. Moya is lovely. I've had a chance to not engage with her very personally, but been in the same spaces as she's been in. One of the conference I attended recently, she was one of the speakers, and I like where her mind is at. I like where her thinking is. So potentially a coalition in Tshwane.
Yeah. A coalition that ends up with a DA leadership.
With a DA leadership. Ooh. And similarly Ekurhuleni as well. I think
Action SA is doing fairly decently in Tshwane. It's decent enough, because after the interview I had with her, in the comments, which is whatever measurement tool we can use, which is not always a good one, there are people who are saying, I don't care what party she belongs to, I want to vote
for her.
Exactly. And that's the most common narrative. Because is it possible also that South Africans have gotten to a point where parties don't matter so much?
Yeah.
They are voting for anyone who can at least deliver. Are we there yet?
I don't think we're there yet. Our former president, Thabo Mbeki, mentioned that earlier this week, saying, "Hey, the way we vote is wrong. We should be electing a leader. We shouldn't be
electing
voting
a party
on parties."
Yes.
And in that case,
having enjoyed so many years of leadership,
yeah, exactly. But I mean, in that case, then I want Chris Pappas to run eThekwini, but I don't get to make that decision, right? The DA decides, okay, we want Hussein in eThekwini. I think you're right. I think Action SA has got a very strong shot in.
If they put her face on a poster, they're likely to do very well in Tshwane.
Hey man, she's going around. She's planting trees. She's doing the things. Here's
where she suffers, though, and it's unfortunate. It's not her fault. She's not a natural campaigner. She's not a natural politician. So she doesn't even know how to ask for votes. She doesn't even know how to convince you to vote for her. And the question is, are we at a stage where we are voting for the action? And have the people that are in power, have they delivered enough for us to use that as a measuring tool? Are we still emotional? Are we still hanging on to the hangover of apartheid?
I think that's what we're finding in like a Solplaatje municipality, for example, right?
Yeah.
Not a metro, but but worth mentioning. Birthplace of the ANC, Mangaung. Yes. Traditionally strong ANC. Following. Same in Buffalo City in Eastern Cape. Strong traditional following. But you've not done enough. Now, again, we sit here as privileged individuals, more privileged than most.
The aircon is on.
The aircon
that tells you how privileged. We're having coffee.
The lights are on. The coffee. We've got
sparkling
cold water.
Yes.
So we can't speak cogently about somebody who's living in a very rural village who has to travel 20 kilometers to make a phone call, right? That's so far removed from. Now, is that person going to understand the difference between service delivery by the ANC, service delivery by the DA, service delivery by Action SA, service delivery by EFF? Yeah. Are they going to be able to see that? And that's where let's go back across the pond, right? Zoran Mamdani. 5 years ago? Nobody.
No, right? Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Even a year ago.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But he's a grassroots activist, right? Yeah. He starts on the ground and he says,
with South African roots.
With South African roots,
yes.
My kids go to the school that he went to,
Wow.
So, a little bit of. I actually managed to meet him when I was in New York in May.
There you go. Before all this.
Yeah, before all of this. When I met him, I was like, that's the next mayor.
Yeah.
That's the next mayor.
Yeah.
He's just so relatable, right? Now, you've got to have relatable leadership who have been active in the communities and active because this election is not about geopolitical issues. It's not about the economy. This election
it's about lights and water.
Can I flush my toilet?
Yes.
And so many communities don't have sewage, don't have, and it's that's the thing that's going to decide it. So if you can, as a campaigner, prove to me that you can campaign for me on no more potholes.
Let's hold on to the DA possibly taking a number of more metros than it has now. What are some of the elements that may give them that successful edge?
I think the DA is very good at communications, right? We had this engagement with the government department probably about 3-4 months ago. And they said, you just tell us that you all the news you put out is bad news. You never tell the good news. I said, yeah, because we don't know about it.
We don't know about the good stuff.
Yeah, yes. You don't tell us about the good stuff. You don't communicate that with us, right? When I worked in print, so print obviously because a daily paper comes out Monday to Friday, you work Sunday to Thursday. Now, on a Sunday, there's nothing happening, right?
Naturally.
Now, what happens on a Sunday? The DA sends out 20 press releases, right? And they're talking about, we did this and we handed keys over to this.
Because they know. They know. Yeah.
Hey, I've got a paper to fill. Okay, there's a press release. Great. So the PR machinery is great. Action SA has learned from this, right? So Action SA has kicked into overdrive. I
remember when Thingy was mayor. We used to get emails as Joburg citizens every day.
Exactly. So Herman knows, right? So Action SA has become very good at that. There's no other party we find, I often find out about ANC things, right? Is when a press release is leaked to me by one of my insiders.
Leaked.
Now he says, hey, it's just embargoed. This is a press release, bro. You're not telling me anything new about this.
You're not telling us how Kat Matlala relates to
exactly. Like, give me some. You wanna leak me some? You must leak me some. Don't leak me a press release.
Yes.
But it's like that's how we get the press releases, because there's no structured communication. There's no structured. I want to say propaganda. That's what it is, right? You're telling your good story. Your PR, your marketing. You're marketing yourself. Yeah. Look at how good we're doing. Look at how much good we're doing. And the plan that the DA seems to have adopted all those years ago is, let's just tell them all of the good things. We sprinkle in some bad. Oh, yeah. We've noted that councillor is very naughty and we've suspended him. And
it's bad and good.
It's bad and good.
Yes.
So you appear to be honest because you're telling me all the things. So now when somebody else says, oh, this party is a corrupt party, prove it. Because when they do wrong things, they say they've done wrong things.
Yes.
They may not admit to everything they've done wrong. But, so there seems to be a sense of accountability. I think what the DA will use is the fact that this is what they love to say, where we govern, and then Cyril gives them a bonus.
Hey,
you guys as councillors can't run municipalities and wards the way the DA can.
There was a spin, and I will leave it at that. There was a spin from the ANC, and I will just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, sometimes it looks like the people who are spinning think we don't see through the spin.
Yeah.
It was a very strange spin, which I don't want to even give it more air. Why do you think there are a lot of black people who vote for the DA? Because their growth can only come from black and coloured votes. Coloured and Indians, I guess.
Coming back to apartheid, right? As a coloured person, not me personally, but let's say I am I'm a general coloured person. Yeah. I grew up, my father grew up, my grandfather grew up believing that white was at the top, I'm in the middle, and black is at the bottom.
Yes.
So in my head, I will I'm not going to vote for the black guy.
For the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote for the bottom. I'm going to vote up. Right? Now, you've got sort of what's becoming a little bit, in Cape Town we've got Fadil Adams. In Joburg, in Durban you've got Karo Charo.
Yes.
Right? So Karo Charo says, in Durban we have a majority of Indian diaspora, Indian South Africans. Right? Therefore, BEE needs to be slanted towards them. In the Western Cape, the majority of the population used to be coloured people.
Yes.
We should give the jobs to coloured people. But now that population dynamic has changed.
Yes, a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And, and even at the time, Helen's like, no, these are economic refugees. They're escaping the poverty of the Eastern Cape to come to the green pastures of the Western Cape to find jobs. And, semigration happens, right? It's okay. It's okay to search for economic.
It's an open country.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't have a Republic of the Western Cape.
No.
Now, if you... now, if you look at it and you go like, okay, so Fadil is saying that, but now coloured people are being shut out. So you've got that, and in Cape Town we still are plagued by very bad spatial apartheid. Right?
Yes, of course.
So the coloured people all live in, and yes, okay, we are allowed to settle where we want to, but largely you're not going to find a white person living in Kailicha.
Of course.
You're not going to find a white person living in Googs, right? You may not even find coloured people living in Googs, even though Googs is right next to Manenberg.
It's a street away.
It's just exactly, just across the road, right? So we've got these spatial issues that divide us as well, and I think that also just furthers that divide. I just don't feel like we have, and maybe the political party that wins my vote in the 2029 general elections is the party that says, I'm going to unite us as South Africans. I'm going to pull us together. I'm going to take us to a point where we can not see colour. not a party that says, I don't see color. I want you to recognize that
the color is there.
The color is there. The racism is there. But this is the plan of how we're going to crash it.
Are you also in that same answer saying blacks in that context of white is top, colored is middle, and black is low? Even the blacks that are voting for DA, they're saying we are voting up.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
I think genuinely that's what happens.
It's a self-esteem issue, though.
It is a self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
It comes back to the complaining, right? I'm not going to complain. It's okay. I'll handle it. I can manage. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
You know, I've got a chip in my cup. It's okay. You know,
I have a hair in my food.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're very, and you know, again, this is like the beauty of South Africans is that we're unserious, man. You know, and it's
I'm not sure it's a good thing because we let too many things slide.
True.
That is the problem with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, the role of coalition politics in the next elections clearly will continue to be a part of this country.
Yeah.
There are those who predicted ANC is not going to do better than it did in the last general elections, meaning that it'll stay where it is or go even worse.
Yeah.
What is your perspective?
I think the ANC is going to lose quite significant support in 2026.
Because?
Just because they've not proven themselves, they've not shown that they can make the step up, and I think this Matlanga Commission, the ad hoc committee that's ongoing at the moment, I think all of this just kind of plays into that. It just kind of makes it seem, I don't want to say worse than it is, but we're now seeing the patronage. We're now seeing,
But you have an ANC that says, a corrupt ANC member doesn't mean a corrupt ANC. Is that message getting across, I wonder?
I don't think that message is getting across. And again, you need to, if you're going to be a trustworthy person, right? If you're going to be, you need to, when you do good things, you need to shout about it. And when you do wrong things, mea culpa, I messed up, right?
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I don't think the ANC does enough of, we got this wrong.
Yeah, okay.
And I think they need to do that. I think there's too much spin.
Yes.
There's too much papering over. There's too much. So for that reason, I just feel like maybe people are a little bit hurtful. We also must not underestimate the Jacob Zuma effect. The man has sway.
It does. It does. With a very complicated political party.
Yeah.
And I call it complicated because of every day there's major events within the party of major people getting suspended and so forth and so forth. Won't that affect him negatively?
So I had thought so, right? And we had thought so. 2024, in the lead up to the elections, we did 3-panel discussions. IOL ran 3-panel discussions. We did one in Cape Town, one in Durban, one in Joburg. We started in Durban. Every Uber driver that we encountered, every person on the street that we're a group of journalists and editors, right? We're going to ask questions. And they're like, no, Jacob deserves another chance. He deserves another. MK.
So you guys knew he'll do well long before the elections.
We knew,
yes.
Yeah. We thought, hey, look, IFP did better than we expected.
Okay.
But like MK surprised everybody. You know, I mean, MK really came out and, I mean, like official opposition from nothing. You know, so like I'm, which is why I say in my piece particularly as well, I do feel like Buffalo Municipality, Buffalo City, close enough to KZN. eThekwini, maybe not enough. It depends on the candidate. And you know, there is a little bit of, but again, you and I can have these discussions, right? But the voters themselves, we need to listen to the voters. We need to listen to what they're saying. And the majority of the people that we were speaking to in Durban were saying, we love Jacob Zuma, we're going to vote MK. We're going in that direction. We're going that way. And like, if I look at the party's policies,
do South Africans look at policies?
I don't think so. I think they vote on cults of personality.
Maybe that's why we need to. Anyway, change
the electoral system.
So, I'm curious about the coloured vote and the Cape Town coloured vote, because it is probably one of Helen Zille's biggest fear, or DA's biggest fear. If we don't completely control this, it's likely to be the kingmaker. Am I correct in making that assumption?
So I think the challenge that we have is that there isn't a strong enough, not that there aren't any, but I don't think there is a strong enough alternative to the DA. So we thought in 2024, the Palestine issue would break the DA.
Yeah.
Right? And it didn't.
Not at all.
We thought it would dent them in the Western Cape at least. Because in the Western Cape, we're marching every Sunday, bro. We're marching all the time. In the streets, in Sea Point, in Mitchell's Plain. We're marching all the time.
Yes.
So we thought, come time to cast your ballot, all of these people that disagree with the DA's stance on Israel, the DA's stance or the proximity to Israel, and the DA's stance on Palestine. Genocide is a big word. We can't. I haven't been there, so I can't say for certain. Yeah, but the ICJ said so. The United Nations said so. The ICC said so. Anyway.
And it's reported on quite extensively.
Exactly.
Yes.
But, you don't think it's a genocide. So we thought it would damage their chances, but it didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't. So I do still think that the Cape Townians, the Western Cape residents, still feel like, you know what, there's nobody else that's going to be able to roll out my city and who's going to be able to, and I mean, we've got this coming back to the PR. So our mayor puts a video out on X, and he claims it was unplanned. He went to renew his car license at the Kraaifontein drive-through station, right? City of Cape Town, and like he drives in, he's filming the whole thing. Took him like 20 minutes or 18 minutes or something stupid. Really quick, really easy. This is the only municipality you can go. Switch out your car license like that
in 18 minutes.
In 18 minutes,
drive-through.
A drive-through.
I don't have to get out of my car.
I don't have to get out. I don't have to stand in a queue. I don't have to park. I don't have
that happens in Cape Town.
So we've got a drive-through. So now you see now you must recognize my privilege, David. When I land in Johannesburg and I drive down the highway and I see that the verges aren't cut, or that one of the guardrail wires is loose and is lying in the shoulder. It's not a big deal. It doesn't affect my life. But like I notice it because in Cape Town, it's not like that. Now, is a Cape Townian going to take a chance on
somebody
Good
else?
Party or on
Patriotic Alliance?
On Patriotic Alliance? I don't think so. Liam Jacobs, I think, is he's too much of a loose cannon for people. I think. I mean, it could be that he turns out to be a better Fadil Adams.
Hey,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe Fadil and Liam decide, hey, you know what? Let's join forces and like capture the coloured vote. But we've got a problem with having been let down by coloured leaders in the past, through sex scandals, through, not Patricia, through just greasy uncles that, didn't behave themselves. Yes. So because we've been let down that way, because I remember we've had a coloured mayor before, we've had Auntie Pat, we've had Theresa Solomons, we've had Dan Plato. And, so you look at this and you go,
I think is the coloured vote a deciding factor at all?
I don't think it is as much as we think it is.
Okay, all right.
I think. I mean, I can't recall what the voting turnout stats were like, but I think, and it worries me that there's a lot of voter apathy, and I think maybe it's not representative of how people feel, but that's why I try to urge people, if you feel strongly about it, go and vote, man.
Yeah.
Go and participate in this democracy. I know you may think it's a foregone conclusion, but if that was the case, then MK wouldn't be the official opposition.
Which is true.
Yes. Because people got behind Jacob Zuma. I worry about the future of the party without Jacob.
I think it is a complicated one, and if they really need to get a hold of it, they have to solve it now.
Yeah.
Because anytime, in terms of our life expectancy. He's an old man, and he's not participating actively, but he is in the background. And it's very obvious that this is his party.
Ubaba calls the shots, brother.
100%.
That's the
100%. And the question is then what happens without him? That's a very important question.
Yeah.
And is the party even ready for a day without Jacob Zuma, I wonder?
If you look at the challenges that they've had from the beginning, with under leadership, with deputy leadership, with their structures, I do think that there's no doubt that their power plays on the go, right?
Yes.
There's blood in the water, and it feels like there's blood in the water all the time.
Well, that's the problem
in that party. I think
that is the
that,
problem.
But we are not the people who vote that way.
No,
we are not the people who vote along emotional lines, and I think the sooner intellectuals realize that we can predict and we can try and we can, based
that's as far as it goes.
That's as far as it goes. Yeah. The voters will decide who is it that I want.
And I like that because you're using a common Jacob Zuma phrase of clever blacks. Clever blacks for some reason at some point thought they control where the story goes, but clearly not, because it turns out very differently. Does that still have a role to play in today's politics? The urban darky vote, because the urban darky vote exists whether you like it or not. It's the urbanization that was created post 94 has led to a lot of different thinkers. People who say I will vote ANC national and I will vote DA regional and things like that. Do you think that still plays an important role and will play an important role in the next elections?
I think it just might. I mean, it's a difficult thing for me to sort of admit and to come to, because it then speaks to this is a whole other conversation. I don't believe black people, colored people can be racist. I don't believe racism has to do with power dynamics.
True,
right? And
yes. If you don't have power, you can be racist.
Exactly. Right. So maybe the prejudice against each other, the prejudice that black people who have come out of the ghettos, come out of the townships, who have graduated to the Houghtons and the Santons and the Rosebanks. That
it's a bus full of people.
Yeah. And they may go, you know what? Actually, give us Ellen. Because when I go on holiday to Cape Town, that's what the DA does. So, and I'm not saying,
I wonder.
I'm not saying this because I'm trying to glorify the DA. I fundamentally, at the core of what the DA stands for, at the policy level, I disagree with it, right? Because I don't feel that the DA is anti-transformation. It comes across that way, right? But if you can make sure that I always have lights, and that when the country is on stage 3, I'm on stage 2, and if my street light is out, I can phone and the municipality comes within an hour. If my water is an issue, you fix it by the next day. I'm not without water for 6 weeks, like some towns in KZN were for a very long time. Here in Joburg, you've had water cuts. If you can do that for me, man,
Are we willing? In that very context,
then I'm sacrificing how strongly I feel about the genocide in Palestine.
That's what I'm asking. Are we willing to give up a lot of the core principles of transformation in favor of street lights and water? And
when last did we have major service delivery protests? Right, a couple of years ago. Yeah. But they were huge service delivery protests.
And constant.
Yeah. And we set Ekurhuleni on fire, right? We burnt down a Home Affairs office the other day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? Now, you take that, like service delivery is a strong issue. It's a big issue. So I think maybe people, because we are the people that debate ideologies, we are the people that debate policy, but the voters may not be doing that.
They just want street lights.
They just want street light and running water and potholes fixed, right?
Is the question I asked once to Helen is that Cape Town, from perspective of someone that lives in Joburg, still has problems. You get off a flight between the airport and town, you see struggling townships. They're right there, actually, driving out of the airport. And from a perspective of someone that doesn't see this every day, it tends to shock the system a little bit. And she said, but the water is running and the streets are good and, all of that.
I wrote a piece maybe I think a couple of years ago now where I was talking about whataboutism. Right?
Okay.
And whataboutism is very dangerous.
Yes.
So you can say, as a Cape Townian living in Joe Slovo Township, Kwalanga, right? I have terrible conditions. I live in squalor. And the DA,
and you'd be right.
You'd be right.
Yes.
But the DA will turn around and say, yeah, but you know what, Elsewhere, the squalor is much worse. If you want to see squalor, hey, go to Alex.
In Joburg.
Yeah. You want to see squalor? Hey, go to go somewhere else and you'll see our, so
our squalor is not the worst.
Yeah, our squalor is not the worst squalor, And but that whataboutism, yeah, but this is affecting me now, right? I couldn't understand it didn't. I didn't realize when one of the activists that attended our Durban panel discussion in the lead up to elections said, but we've got shit flowing in the streets. I thought, yeah, okay, fine, you have shit flowing in the streets. Until later that night, I was in an Uber on my way to my former boss's house for dinner, and the Uber drove around a mound. And I thought, oh, there's sand and water flowing out of it. And when we drove past, we realized it was sewage. There was and she doesn't live she lives in a fancy neighborhood, right? But here, in this fancy neighborhood, around the corner from our house, is a literal pile of shit coming out of the street. Now, if I go to certain areas in Cape Town, there's a community called Hangberg above Houtbay, which a couple of years ago was blamed for the unrest in Houtbay and the burning down of factories and things, because there was a alleged poacher who was killed extrajudicially by the cops, right?
Okay.
That's what the community said. The community, because his body was never found, right?
Yes.
Duran's body was never found. So I decided I'm going to go out to this community and find out what are the issues, what are the things. So I go to Hangberg, and then there's an area even further up the mountainside called Die Sloot.
Okay.
And Die Sloot, they're talking about, our children don't have, and here's another part where I come back to this underlying racism, right? Die Sloot, they say, yeah, we've got rivers of shit flowing outside our house. And when you go there, that is the case, because there's no sewage, there's no delivery of services. So I'm sitting in a shack that this colored man made himself for his family. He's got his little vegetable garden in the mountainside. They deal with the baboons every now and then, But where does the sewage go? It has to go down here.
Somewhere.
And then he says, look across the bay. On that mountainside there at Imizamuyetu, they've got toilets, they've got running water.
Wow.
Those black people got services. We've been here 100 years before they got here. The racial divisions in Cape Town, the inequality in Cape Town is still very raw and very real. We've not integrated, and I think that's what you can play on as a politician. That's what you can play on.
Is there a party that's playing on that now in Cape Town?
Not effectively.
Yeah.
I say effectively like it's a good thing.
No, it's not. Yes.
But,
to its benefit. We know politics can be a dirty game.
And I mean, if I were a Liam Jacobs of the Patriotic Alliance, or if I was a Fadil Adams, those are the communities I'd visit. And I'd say, hey, you see there, look what this government is doing for them.
Vote for us.
Vote for us. We'll do it for you because you're our people. Sure. And I hate it. I hate being so cynical about it. I hate being so cynical about it.
And I want to speak to what our president said when he said the DA is doing an amazing job. You're a Cape Townian. you live there, you experience their service. Are we using the right measuring tools to measure their performance? And that is a clean street in the middle of town and so forth, collecting garbage. Are those the right measuring tools? As someone that has a broader perspective of the city of Johannesburg, the bad and the good, and the squalor.
I would say there's there was the old slogan of the city of Cape Town. The slogan now, I think, is something like better together or something like that. But the old slogan used to be, this city works for you.
Okay.
And on the wall, just past the R300, so we wall off our black people, like the township can't expand any further than this, please, So on the wall was spray painted, "This city works for a few."
Oh, somebody
graffitied on there. This is just outside the R300. I think Nyanga Crossroads. And we look at it, and like often we as journalists will speak among each other and say, the city works for who?
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't work for you. It works for you if you live in a leafy suburb. It works for you if you are by the means to live in an affluent neighborhood. It works for you if you can afford to send your kids to a former Model C school. But it doesn't work for you if you live in Langa. It doesn't work for you if you live in Nyanga. It doesn't work for you if you live in Makassar. So who does it work for? Where does it work? And they'd be very quick, the leadership of the city. I don't want to equate the leadership to the DA necessarily, even though they run the city and the province. But where we live, there is the most horrendous and horrific gang violence on a daily basis, and the trauma this is leaving with the kids. But it's not happening in Cape Town. Central.
Of course not.
It's not happening in around the city bowl.
And the leafy suburbs.
It's happening down there on the Cape Flats. It's happening way over there. It's happening in Mitchell's Plain. It's happening in Manenberg. It's happening in Nova Park. It's happening in Bonteheuwel. It's happening in Langa. It's not happening here. Now, where I live is right next to Langa. Some people like to call it Langa East or Langa West.
Yes.
And you hear the gunshots, right? And I mean, but they're far away.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it must be like living
for
there.
People whom it's not far
and
away.
For kids who have to fall asleep with those sounds. Where I grew up was right next to Nova Park, where you live with that. There's this immense gang war, and the leadership of the city says, yeah, but we don't handle policing.
Yes. But they're right.
Devolve
they're
policing.
They're right, though. Are they not right to say that?
They're right to say that, but I don't feel that they necessarily deploy enough resources. Now, the Safety and Security Mayoral Committee member, JP Smith, will tell you, we've rolled out Shot Spotter, and we give all of this information and share all of this data with SAPS, but SAPS has the investigative powers. We don't have powers to investigate. We can deploy LEAP officers, we can deploy all of these things, but and here's where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah.
You're putting a plaster on the symptoms, right? You're not trying to resolve the
gang,
root cause.
For example, yes.
And what is that root cause? That root cause is the inequality that persists. That root cause is the fact that the city owns land in nicer neighborhoods that it will not develop into low-cost housing. So that these people out here who live far away from economic opportunities and have to spend 30 to 40% of their salaries just to get to work, you're not going to build them houses close to work. Instead, you'll take more well-off residents of those areas and say to them, we're changing the bylaws to allow you to become your own slumlord. You can subdivide your property if you want to, and we won't get involved. Why won't you let me take that?
Build over there.
I want to build over there.
Yes.
I want that land that you own. And I mean, there are hundreds of, there's Ndifuna Kwazi is a phenomenal organization, housing justice, social housing justice activist organization. And they've got a map, an interactive map of, there's land in the central city. There's land in Skotjekloof. There's land in District 6. There's land and this is not national land. It's not land owned by...
It's provincial, or is it or municipality?
Yeah. So you have the power to do this. You have the power to do this. Then Alan Winde, our premier in the Western Cape, says in the panel discussion in the lead up to the elections, when I became premier, I took R1 billion from education and health and I put it into safety. We're not much safer. But the GF Star Hospital in Manenberg was closed down.
Wow.
And never replaced.
So that's the money.
That's the money. You talk about, education national is cutting budgets for... No. Education is a provincial competency. You've cut the budgets. There are teachers posts. So now you take away health, you take away education, you don't build social housing, close to economic opportunities. You create an uneducated population that is poor, that where poverty persists. You've got the ripe environment for them to fall into gangs. I go back to when I was in Hangberg. And in there, I met this wonderful woman who takes children in because their parents are drug addicts and don't take care of them. She doesn't adopt them. They just come there every day and she sort of feeds them and baths them.
Okay, yes.
And she says it breaks my heart when I ask one of these kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a poacher. Wow. Because that's what they see. The poacher, the guy who's diving for abalone and rock lobster illegally, he drives a Mercedes-Benz and a BMW and an Audi and he lives well. I want to be a poacher when I grow because there are no teachers who live in your community.
No.
There are no doctors who live in your community. There's nothing to aspire to. So it's that... When you talk about that structural apartheid that persists, particularly in Cape Town and in the Western Cape, and you feel it. When you see the cliquey nature of Cape Townians, we're not very open people. We're not very welcoming people. You can phone somewhere to book a restaurant with a black accent and maybe they'll be full, and phone them 5 minutes later and put on your poshest white accent and you can get a booking. You know, it still persists, and it's those microaggressions that you can't put your finger on. Now that's the hangover that we still feel, that the DA just wants us to forget about. But
why is it that with those microaggressions, because if you put them together, they become one big aggression. Why is it that then the DA continues to win? Because they're not winning only from their so-called white voters. Surely they're winning from somebody else as well.
Yeah.
Why do they continue to... Essentially, my question is, why is it that a poor Cape Townian who's struggling votes for the DA? Why does that still happen?
I wish I could answer that. I wish I could answer that.
Are we not informed enough to the things that you just spoke of now?
I think so. I don't think we're informed enough. Which is why I said, the DA's got this great PR machine. It's got wonderful PR machinery. They're very good at telling their story.
Do all Cape Townians, and it's a broad question, very loose, I realize, do all Cape Townians or most Cape Townians believe that DA is doing a good job?
I think the voter support that we're seeing for them
says
so. And like I say, it starts in around the braai, right? I mean, the racism doesn't.
You say
come
that,
out. Yeah.
You say that in your article. Yes,
it doesn't come out in public, right? But it starts at home. Where it's like, oh no, I don't want to vote for them. I don't want to vote for those people.
Yes.
And that's where and that's the mindset shift that needs to happen. So I'm not saying that the DA is responsible for that mindset, perpetuating that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm saying that they know how to play on that mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying the DA is racist. I think they know how to use our racism against us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're a complicated country.
We are. I mean, I had a friend of mine who used to say to me the reason. She's from Durban originally, right? Moved to Joburg and lived here for a very long time. And she says the reason Joburg is such a wonderful city is because it's a city of orphans. People come to Joburg
here, yes.
and then they find their people.
Yes.
You know, they find nobody leaves Cape Town. You know, we stay in our cliques and we stay in our and then you know you get
and
that.
then we come to Cape Town to live there.
Yeah, you guys come to
you
Cape
guys
Town
already clicked
and we go,
up.
oh no, we don't want these,
Where you from?
These Gautengers. Oh no, we don't. They drive terribly and
we think you drive terribly. Just so you know.
We do. No, we do. We do. I genuinely believe South Africans are the worst drivers in the world.
We've gotten worse. Do you know? We've gotten worse when it comes. Load shedding has made us worse because it kills a lot of the robots, and then we don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
Even when they work, we don't see them anymore. I promise you, it's the craziest thing. Right close to where we're recording, there's a robot that works and doesn't work, and doesn't work. It always terrifies me when I get there. I stop longer than normal because I'm worried that this guy is going to come rushing through because today it's working and you think it's still not working.
Yeah.
So you're likely to just do what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
So we don't drive very well.
No, we don't. And I mean, I know you talk about the traffic thing and I say, but in Joburg, traffic's bad because everybody's going everywhere.
Yes.
In Cape Town, traffic's bad because there's only 2 highways and everybody's coming in and everybody's going out at the same time.
Yes.
So it's the congestion is bad, but that's got to do with how we drive as well. I'll be the first to admit, as a Cape Townian, I don't think we drive very well.
Can Cape Townians afford to live in Cape Town? And I'm asking a very big question because I realize that there are parts of Cape Town that have become extremely expensive even for people who were born there.
Yeah. So there's an editorial project that we're actually looking at right now, which is the gentrification model, right? And again, let's not stick it to the governing party there just yet. But the gentrification of certain areas. So you bring in a big developer to build a market, for example, right? Now suddenly there's this influx of white people who come to this market and they start buying up shop fronts and they start investing in this area. Now you've got Auntie Khalima, who's lived in this house in Salt River her entire life. Yes. The house is paid off. But every year the rates keep increasing.
Because the neighborhood is getting expensive. Now suddenly you have people who, and I mean, obviously the developers are coming in and saying, I'll give you R1 million for your house. Yes.
Now, R1 million is more money than Auntie Khalima's ever seen in her entire life in one place. Where is she going to move to with R1 million? She's going to move to Blue Downs, which is not safe. She can move to Mitchell's Plain, where people are trying to move out of. She can't move anywhere else, right? But you create a system where it becomes so expensive because her rates keep increasing. And now if she doesn't sell, the neighbor sells. And the neighbor sells, then somebody moves in, throws down the house, builds up a 3-level, maybe it's student accommodation, maybe it's just 3 apartments. And we've seen this so often in Observatory, in Salt River, in Woodstock, where 2 houses, you buy 2 houses, Cape Town property is very expensive. So you're probably going to put down maybe 3 million for those 2 houses, right? You throw them down, you build parking at the bottom, and you put a block of flats on top. Yeah. And you can sell each of those blocks of flats for 1.5, 2 million,
Imagine
2.5 million.
You made that money back.
You made the money like that, right? Or you rent them out. But because that property is now using more sewage, using more water, now the next door neighbor has to pay a greater amount in rates.
Because the neighborhood has gotten more.
And that property is now worth 10.5 million rand. So this property, your property that you're living in, is now also increased in value, even though you've done nothing to it and it's crumbling and it's falling apart and it's still got creaky wooden floors and beautiful high ceilings that are rotting. But your house now, because the valuation has gone up, you now have to pay another 1,000 rand on your rate. So Cape Town is becoming incredibly expensive, and particularly for those people, especially
who were born there,
who live close to the city, the ones who managed to hold out against Group Areas Act, the ones who might have moved back in after
when it was slightly cheaper,
when it was much cheaper.
Yes, actually,
who moved back in because I want to live in my childhood home. I want to move back, and they've returned only to find. Actually, I can't afford to live here. I can afford to buy here. Can't afford to live here. I can't afford to. And that's the terrible reality that we're faced with right now.
It's when you look at it in relation to what the governing party is doing. Is there plans to try to overcome those challenges for the ordinary Cape Townian? Because there should be. There
should be, but there doesn't seem to be a will to do so. Now, you can say, but there are various indigent grants and there are various, what do you call it?
Yes.
Just rebates for, a pensioner or for or like a lower income. But like, I'm not going to jump through hoops for you. I'm going to let it happen because I want to clear. Woodstock is a slum. Oh no, there are buildings that are falling apart. There are people that we want to get out of there, and it doesn't seem like there's a will to put a stop to it. In Skotjekloof, which is just above Boekap, right? So you've got Boekap, beautiful historic buildings, and like people have painted their houses up and they've done it really nicely. There was going to be a development in one of, I think it's Oro Africa, it's a metals and jewelry factory. So I think it was that. A couple of years ago, they were going to throw that down and build up this fancy high-rise apartment block. But that would have meant that all of those people in Wales Street and in Rose Street would now have had to pay more and
because of that.
Would not have been able to afford to live there. So there's all of these things. And like Skotjekloof, if you look just up, it's so out of the eye, right? But there's council flats up there. There's city council flats up there. Right? Just like in Kalk Bay. Kalk Bay, beautiful, lovely seaside village, 12 million rand for a seaside property. And you go a block up, there's council flats where, people are living 3 to a bedroom kind of thing. And like, it's just, but like you keep it, you perpetuate it so that maybe you want to get those people to move out at some point, you let it happen.
When you look at it and fast forward 10, 20 years from now, clearly those people would not be there at all.
Yeah.
Because generationally, someone is going to give up and say, I can't do this anymore. And just let it go.
No, I don't need
and
to
take
save
the
my
million
mama's house. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to save my mama's house. I'm going to move out.
And they'll give you R1 million.
Yeah, and maybe I'll move to Joburg. Maybe I'll move to Durban. Maybe I'll find an opportunity elsewhere. It's
then it changes the dynamics of the city in terms of its original people, so to speak. They're no longer there.
It's that slow displacement, right? So it's like either you assimilate and you step up and you learn to just...
How do you do that? It's not like it's automatic.
Exactly.
It's not like learning how to swim.
I'll just pick up 3 extra jobs, in the 12
I'll start
or 15
an app.
hours. I'll start an app. And it's sad. You also look at like the entertainment, right? So if I go to the old biscuit mill, I can't feed my family on 400 rand.
Whoa, that's a lot of money. Saturday, right? That's a lot of cash.
I can't go to the market with $400 and go, I'm satisfied.
We'll have lunch, yes.
Yeah. You can't because you buy this little thing for like 120 and then there's like a little pot of egusi for like 180 rand, it's artisanal, and
that's a meal for one.
It's just exactly, and it's just so those kinds of things, and it's all, so you've got the residents of that area and you're saying, oh no, but I'm bringing tourism in, I'm bringing business in, but are the people who are living there actually benefiting from it? No,
digital nomads also affect that.
Exactly, absolutely. And they're the ones that are affecting like the rental prices, right? Because there's a demand for it, and if they can afford to pay it, a landlord's going to want to charge that. But you look at the Salt River Fruit Market just down the road, and there are tenants there who are the building itself is falling apart, right? And the city is not going to fix it.
Yeah.
They'd rather make it so untenable for you.
It's a city building.
It's a city building that you leave. Right? Because I can't do business here anymore.
Does it look intentional?
it does look intentional. It feels intentional.
Yeah.
It feels like you could do so much, but you don't. And then you laud the people from the community for going into the park and cleaning it for the children. But like the sports facility, you didn't cut the grass for 3 months. Like, how are the kids supposed to? There's a soccer academy there. There's a soccer school. There's a soccer club on that field. But like, you couldn't be bothered to cut the grass. Or there's one of the irrigation pipes blew. You couldn't be bothered to fix that. And the guys in those communities, I mean, I know them. I play football with them.
Yes.
I sit on their club boards,
Yeah.
and we write to the ward councillor and we say, come and look here, come and look what's going on here. But then you also have the problem, like in Bonteheuwel, for example, the ward councillor doesn't live in Bonteheuwel. He lives in Parow.
That shouldn't be allowed. Though.
Like, how do you...
That shouldn't be allowed.
How do you know my lived reality
if you don't live
you don't
here.
live here?
Yeah, that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
You worked on, reported on Phalaphala.
Yes.
Quite extensively.
Our colleagues at Sunday Independent broke that story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know when I was doing my investigation of some of the stuff you've been involved with, I wondered if there were any challenges that you faced uncovering that full story.
Sure. So many challenges.
Because it continues, that story. It's not done yet.
No, the story's not done. Story's not done. I think there was... Sure. So initially, one of the reporters that broke that story, he called me one Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning. I've got this video. I said, "You've got a video. What's the video of?" It's of two people skulking around Cyril Ramaphosa's farm in Bella Bella. And I said, "Oh, are they thieves? Are they breaking in?" He says, "Yes." And they stole money. And I was like, "Oh!" I want the video right now. And there's the way
much
sort of,
that as chief, editor in chief. That must be like, ooh, we're sitting
I got
on
a tingle up my spine, bro. I was so excited. And so we in covering these stories, it's you've got to, when it comes to making editorial decisions, big editorial decisions, you've got to be sure. You're going to say that there was a break-in at the president's house a year ago. It's so much time.
It does sound
how come we haven't heard about it? And then the plan was to break that story on Sunday afternoon. Then we got wind that the presidency was going to put out a statement about it. And we said, "Oh, no. We've got to publish the story right now. We've got to go right now with the thing."
Yes.
And then you still have, challenges internally of people who feel, no, that needs to be broken in the paper. It can't be broken online.
Yes, I forget you're dealing with
you've
those
got
dynamics.
the legacy brands, and you've got the digital media to think about as well. But it was it was a big decision. When it comes to decisions like that, you sometimes you just have to be brave and go, you know what? We'll go with it. We'll go with it. And the PPE scandal was another one as well. We heard with Timbisa Hospital.
Yes.
That was Mzilikazi wa Africa who broke that story. It was one of those things where you go like, sure. do you know how scary it is to be the first one to report on something?
Let me tell you, I do radio. I never announce someone's death. I don't, because I feel I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the first to say it.
Exactly.
So I'm happy to be last. I'm happy to be second. I'm happy to be third. But never first. So
I'd rather be right than first.
100%.
But sometimes there's just there's no playbook for it.
Yeah.
There's no. It's a gut feeling. Either it's we're going with it, or no, we're not.
Have you had it? Have you gotten it wrong?
We've gotten it wrong. We've gotten it wrong a couple of times.
Yeah.
The important thing when you get something wrong is to just immediately say, "Hey, we screwed up, guys.
Yeah.
We screwed up." And like the anecdote I like to tell. I'm not going to go into what we got wrong.
Don't worry. It doesn't matter.
The anecdote I like to use, right, is if you only people that work make mistakes.
Yes.
Like if you're just going to sit back and not do
nothing will
anything,
happen.
You're never going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
You just follow. If you want to be a trailblazer, you're going to make mistakes.
If you're a soccer team that never plays, you'll never lose.
Exactly. Exactly.
And life will be good all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Investigative journalism has become a very important part of the dynamics of our country. But also we uncover, but Madlanga Commission and all of that it's easy to also buy journalists and own, so they tell the story the way you want, because money seems to be controlling this.
So this has come out in Madlanga, right? And with Konazi's statements and things. But I mean, it's something that's been going on for a very long time. I had a particular... How do I phrase this? Because he actually said, "Look, I'm going to sort this out immediately. I'm not gonna name him or the party, but I've been building this relationship with this politician, former politician. He's now, once a politician, always a politician. Anyway, building a relationship with him. He's feeding me information. I'm taking this information from whence it comes, because there's another politician whose foundation is telling a slightly different story. And they're telling different stories about the same situation in Africa, in one of our neighboring countries. Yeah. And one party wants to bring some people from this African nation to South Africa for a conversation. And the other party is saying you should not legitimize those people because they were guilty of in the past, right?
Contrasting
views.
Yes.
So what do I do as a platform that offers and tries to be as balanced? You can't be objective. It's impossible. But you can be balanced. You can be fair. So trying to be as fair and balanced as possible. I take this one's views. I take this one's views and find... This one says to me, "Why are you running with their views?" That's because I'm journalist and I'm balancing the thing, right? I'm just, you stay in your lane, right? Then I get a statement from this guy, and I say, "No, Chief, I'm not going to run this. This is inflammatory and it's potentially defamatory. I'm not going to. We've exchanged some good information. I'm not going to touch this thing." One of his team members sends a message to one of my reporters with the same statement.
Yeah.
And says to her, "Publish this for me. Get this published for me. Then next week I'll take you out for lunch. And maybe there'll be a nice brown envelope waiting for you."
Ach, nee, man.
Oi. So she screenshots and she sends me the message. She sends me the screenshot immediately. And I immediately send it on to the leader. And I say, "Chief, this is unacceptable. I don't ever want to hear from you again." "Hey, this guy is so sorry." "Oh, no, Lance said it." No. I'm not talking. I'm not talking to you. We're not gonna.
Because this is what you do.
Yeah. Is this what you do? 2 weeks later, the guy's fired. He's gone. He comes back to me.
The politician.
No. The
journalist.
The other guy who offered.
The one who offered. The one who
right?
was sent to offer.
He says, "Now he's gone." I say, "Yeah, but how do I know that you didn't instruct?" "No, that's not how we operate. That's not." So it's hard. It's hard work, but it's, you have to. And the thing is, journalism is in such a bad space at the moment. The media industry is in a bad space.
Yeah,
I can't afford to. My journalists could do with a brown envelope.
That's what that's exactly my perspective, actually, that we're dealing with a situation where you almost, and don't quote me on this, almost understand when somebody took that extra 10,000 rands. Because South Africa has become such a complicated country and expensive country to exist in that you almost say, "Hi, he had no choice, But if we toe the ethical line, none of that should happen at all." Do you see how tricky this has become now?
Because it becomes Maumela with 3 of the same color Lamborghinis, man.
Thank you. Because you can't draw the line between I need money carry money for my kids tomorrow's school and the Lamborghini money, because now the lines are blurred.
Exactly.
And in all fairness and honesty, you can't justify any of it. None of it is right.
Yeah.
But we have become a country, whether we agree or not, that is infected by corruption in all corners, including the police and including the media.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is scary.
It is very scary because you can't, and I mean, we had this, there was a ruling at the Press Council recently of 2 publications that failed to disclose that the South African Jewish Board of Deputies paid for trips for journalists to Israel, right? Now, like ethically, that's wrong, right?
Yes.
You know, because you can't go on a trip and then say, oh, but Israel's not that bad a country.
No. And then we find out that you got paid.
But actually, the
trip was paid
The trip was paid for. Yeah, you didn't take money, but you felt obliged to do a positive review on the country that you visited, right?
That's it.
And I mean, it's and you're right, because those lines become so easily blurred. You've got to have strong ethics. You've got to be sure, you know. And it's hard. It's hard because can I pay my team members bonuses this year?
See what I mean?
Can I, you know, and even me, I have to safeguard against it because now somebody comes to me with a story. I need to evaluate the story on its merits. But are you telling me all of the story? Where did you get the story?
Yes.
And what is the motive of the person who gave you the story? Because you get that too.
But that's a difficult job to be an editor.
It is.
Because all those questions are important every time.
Yeah.
How do you manage it then?
We drink a lot. No. No, it's very difficult, but it's important to have a strong core of leadership around you that you trust.
Yeah.
And that has your back.
Yeah.
And that's not going to judge you for anything. So I've got a director. I have the independent newspapers editor-in-chief. I have the independent media managing editor. And between us, if there's anything that feels iffy, we talk about it.
Yes.
We break it down. We discuss it. So thankfully, I'm not the one that has to make those decisions alone. Sometimes it comes to a point where make the decision. And normally, by the time we're done talking, I've come to a decision.
You got it. Yeah.
At the same time, David, you've also got to consider business, right? Because it's a business that you're running, right?
Yes.
And you've got to. So when it comes to turning things down, not only stories, but turning down advertising deals, because at what point, how many betting companies am I going to have on my side? How many crypto mining companies am I going to have on my side? How many, you know, and is this a client that I want to do business with? And sometimes it's not an easy decision to make because you've got bills to pay, you've got salaries to pay, you've got to consider all of these things in among the ethics of the thing.
The growth of I'll call them newspapers for lack of better language so people understand. Online newspapers has become so big over the years. Are we correct to make the assumption that the day will come when the paper version won't exist anymore? Of course, your bosses will be very unhappy to hear you.
No. So I had a view on it in the past. After my most recent visit to the States, I've changed my mind. There's a media owner, South African-born media owner in New York, and she runs a small community newspaper outfit. And it's called New York Voice. And for each of the boroughs, she has Bed-Stuy Voice, Harlem Voice, Brooklyn Voice.
Wow, okay.
Right? So the front page is tailored to that community. She prints maybe 1,000 copies of each once a week, and she sells them for $1 a pop.
Okay.
Now, because Harlem Voice, the front page is specific to Harlem, that Harlem community buys it.
Yeah.
The inside pages are the same across all those, all 5 titles, all 6 titles.
Victoria News and Star newspapers.
Exactly.
They tend to do that.
Exactly,
yes.
right? So if you niche your product and are very specific about what you want to achieve with that product. So if I take the Mercury in Durban and I've got the Daily News in Durban, both of them share an office. We have... the content pool is massive.
Yes,
you know, as a group, we publish in excess of 8,000 pieces of content a month.
Wow.
Right? So they can take from IOL, they can take from the sister titles,
and then put it
and make up your paper. Right? But I can't have the Mercury and the Daily News competing on the front, on the shelf.
Gotcha.
Right? So I need to make sure that Daily News, your focus is the metro. You tackle eThekwini issues. You tackle people issues. Mercury, you do national politics, business. You deal with issues. Same in the Cape in Cape Town. I've got the Cape Times. You deal with issues. Cape Argus, you deal with people. Pretoria News and Star, a little bit of a hybrid model there.
Yeah.
But if we model the Pretoria News to be what we want it to be and model the Star to be what you can, I think there is still life left in print. It's not going to do the kind of numbers it was doing, right?
Yeah.
But that niche product there still is a space for it. Similarly, we're seeing, and I mean, this is across the industry in digital media as well, we're seeing our traffic drop.
Really?
Because we're playing in the attention economy, right? So
you're competing with
I'm competing with
everything
TikTok,
else.
bro.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm competing with Instagram. I'm competing with Facebook. And I'm competing on that's a complete David and Goliath mismatch, right?
Yes.
So I've got, and I mean, the MDPMI, the inquiry of the Competition Commission into this monopolistic behavior by the big tech companies was released today, this morning. I still haven't gone through it in its entirety, but when you look at that and you see just how badly the media industry in South Africa has been affected by these big tech platforms, and they're coming to us and offering us 688 million rand for like 10 years worth of raping our content. And
because they take the stories, when I Google, I see them, not you.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to click on me.
No.
Because it's given you...
It's already there.
Yeah. Oh, that's the answer.
Yeah,
cool.
I read it quickly. I'm good.
Move on. I don't need to click. So
you're losing advertising revenue.
I'm losing advertising revenue. I'm losing audiences. So we're seeing across the board, News24, us, Daily Maverick, all of the digital platforms, the audiences are falling. It's going to plateau at a point. Where that point is and how comfortable we are at that point, those are decisions that we'll have to make at that stage. And what are the new business opportunities for us in the media space?
Yeah.
Because I still think that journalism and content creation are not the same thing.
No, they're not.
And anybody can go on TikTok and say, "Oh, David."
Like, yeah.
That
David as a child.
Yeah.
That's the story I carried throughout this week.
Exactly. Yes. And I mean, now...
And it got a lot of traction.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, and it's a non-story in the bigger picture of things.
Exactly.
But it got a lot of attention.
But it got attention.
Yeah.
Now, the true story about that doesn't go as far as
not that important.
Exactly. Yes. The correction, the apology, none of that goes as far. Right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, we have certain standards and ethics and things to hold up, and I can't just say that. I can't just say that. So I'm not going to get as many views on TikTok and on Instagram as somebody else would. So
one of your competitors charges me to read their story.
Yes.
Like, I go to it, I press their name, and it has a nice headline, like really attractive. I don't know. Fikile Mbalula is now president of the ANC. Yeah.
I'd read that.
or says he wants to be president of the ANC. That is a hot headline. I click on it and it says, you want to watch it, you must pay. What is that doing to information and access to information?
There's a very long, complicated answer to it, and then there's a short answer to it. So the short answer, the medium answer, is that publishers around the world have had to adopt different revenue models because 90% of the advertising globally is going to Google and Facebook, Meta and Alphabet. Right?
So you guys are scrambling for the 10%.
Media companies in the world are scrambling for 10% of global revenue, right? Yeah. Because I would, as a brand, I would rather spend my money where people are spending their time.
Of course.
And
absolutely.
People are spending their time on Meta and on Alphabet, right? So how do I go about earning revenue? So I can either adopt a donation model, like one of my other competitors who says, hey, you're a good person. Please help me keep journalism alive.
Yes.
Right? Now, for some of my products, that kind of model can work. Then there's the subscription option, right? my journalism is worth X, therefore you need to pay for that journalism.
Got you.
Now the challenge with that, and you were talking about the proliferation of all of these platforms. We got a new entrant into the media space about a month and a half ago, right? It's a product of a broader company, so they have the content.
Yes.
So this company, this news website, only has 3 people working for them.
They take from...
Because they're taking from the rest of the group, right? So they can run a very profitable model.
Absolutely.
They use the newsletter database of the broader company in order to market this new product. And they're becoming quite successful at it.
Wow.
Right? Now,
Are they selling to me as an audience?
They're giving it to you for free.
Okay.
Now, you also have other news websites that are not scrupulous, that scrape content. And here's the other challenge. Some of the AI tools give you a link back.
Yes,
right?
yes. Tells you where they got it.
Oh, according to IOL,
There you go.
this is the information and has a link that you can click to get to the right. So they're giving back a little bit,
Yeah.
but not everybody's doing that. So there are publishers who are. I mean, it can be one individual, it can be me, saying, "Okay, go read that now." As IOL, I go, I don't want people doing that, so I need to block the scrapers. But if I block the scrapers, AI can't find me.
And you need AI to find
And if
you.
AI can't find me, Google's not going to find me, which means audience is not going to
That's
find me.
it, yeah.
So it's a very delicate dance. It's a very delicate dance that we do. So you have to, not every reader revenue model is going to work for every platform and is going to work for every product. I've got multiple products in my portfolio. Some of them can work on hey, I'm going to give you all of this content for free, but for the content I put in a lot of work for, I want you to pay for that.
That's it,
right?
yeah.
So now the broader ethical challenge here is, well, there's the one part of, but you used to buy the newspaper. Right?
You can argue that.
Yeah, you used to buy the newspaper.
Yes.
But I got you so used to getting this content for free online because it was new and it wasn't the thing.
I was excited. I just gave it to you.
I gave it to you. Yeah, come visit me at my website. I'll give you. So don't spend 20 Rand on this print product. Come and read that content here with me for free.
And it's convenient. It's easy.
And it's convenient.
Yeah.
I can access it wherever I want to.
Yes.
So there are. So I think in a way we're kind of guilty for doing
of
that.
creating the expectation.
We've created the expectation of freedom, right? South Africans are getting used to paying for content, which is good.
Really?
Because they pay for Netflix, they pay for Disney Plus, for
That's
Amazon,
true.
for Apple TV. Is my product that invaluable that you will part with? Now, I'm not asking you a 99 Rand for Netflix. I'm not asking you that level of investment.
Yeah.
I might be asking you for 20 Rand, for 30 Rand, right? A month. And if I'm doing that, I've got between 8 and 10 million users coming to my website every month. I don't need 8 to 10 to 10 million people paying me 30 Rand a month. I don't need it'll be nice.
Yeah, but
I need a percentage to break
a decent
even.
percentage.
I need a decent percentage in order for me to cover my cost of doing my business. So, if you're not funded, but now there is also the argument that some information must be shared. We have a public service. We have a responsibility to share information.
It's at the heart of my question.
And
that's what happens to the information.
Exactly.
And the people that are supposed to receive it.
I'm the one that's saying, okay, who paid for this? Who paid for you to say this? I'm putting in that guardrail for the reader so that they don't get duped, so that they don't buy into propaganda. I'm putting that guardrail in place. So come to the party and support me somehow. Come to the party and support me. So it's a difficult thing because that particular story that you could get on one of my competitors, you may not be able to find it anywhere else.
That's the thing.
And it does kind of break my heart that happens, but I know why they're doing it, and I
see it so often because I'm a junkie. I would go there all the time to click and look. It's like, I don't know, I'm not sure I want to pay for this. But I want the story.
Exactly.
I don't know. And that concerns me. And what concerns me about is the very last statement you made, that some of the information is of public interest.
Yeah.
But why are you charging me for a story that, come on, I should know what's going on here.
So if you think about it, right, SABC must be free.
100%.
Public broadcasting.
100%.
But I have to pay for a TV license, right? Now, I don't have to pay for a radio license.
No.
And I can listen to radio. I can listen to SABC radio, and they have to provide me with that information. Is there an opportunity for a national public print offering that's better than SABC online? Because
I think there's an opportunity. There's an opportunity for a lot of things. And that is certainly one of those opportunities that exist.
Because then maybe Cyril doesn't have to get hauled over the coals by us privately owned companies all the time.
You see?
You know? And I mean, you look how successful. You look at China, right? I'm at this Global South Media and Think Tank Forum currently. China has Xinhua, state news agency. Their TV station is run by CGTN, China Global Television Network, which is owned by CMG, China Media Group, which also does events and things.
Okay.
Also a
state-owned entity.
State-owned entity.
Yeah.
Then they've also got People's Daily.
Okay. Newspaper.
Right? Newspaper.
Yeah.
And People's Daily Online, which is the online paper. Now, People's Daily and People's Daily Online is also published in English in China.
Wow.
And
globally.
And online.
Yes, all right, yeah, of course.
I'm speaking to some of these journalists yesterday. No, we're in competition. They compete with each other.
Whoa.
And one would assume that, it's state-owned. Eskom can charge you what they want. They just have to go to NERSA and say, please, I need money. And NERSA will grant them 13%, 16%, 18%.
And we're stuck with it.
And we get, because there's no alternatives.
Yeah.
In China, the state-owned enterprises, the state-owned media companies are competing with each other.
Competition.
That created competition. So you can create an environment where journalism can be funded by government, not necessarily bought by government. It's not propaganda of government, but it is supported by government. If government could support journalists or support journalism business, I'm not asking you to give me money for free. Take out advertising for your government departments, for your tenders.
Yes. Advertise with me.
Advertise with me. That's all I'm asking for. Just make it so that my rent is paid, that my office space is paid, right? I'll cover the rest.
Yeah.
The rest, just take that burden off us. Then we won't have to chase clicks. We won't have to worry about, we won't have to write clickbait headlines. I'm not saying that we do. I mean, IOL would never. But we don't have to do those things because we can focus on the pure journalism, on the good stuff, and we don't have to put stuff behind a paywall that's important enough for people to know about.
You do realize ultimately the danger is the balance between I pay you, I control what you do. That is always the complication.
There's a flurry of back and forth opinion pieces on my platform currently, dealing with the South African National Editors Forum, because very close to Black Wednesday, they hosted a gala dinner, fundraising dinner, at which Patrice Motsepe was a speaker.
Okay.
The gala dinner was funded by some of the top banks and other WMC. So you look at it and you go, but you're the National Editors Forum. They're supposed to safeguard journalism from corporate interest. Now you've put on a fundraising dinner that has been paid for by these corporate interests. So I've got some opinion writers that feel very strongly and say, no, this is not on. And then Sanef writes back to me, Hopewell writes to me, and he says, Lance, I need an opportunity to respond. I said, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm saying, I believe in what they're saying. I believe journalism should be free from these things. But I know that my company is owned by a company, by a group of companies.
By people.
It's owned by people, and people have interests, and people want stories to be told in a certain way.
Yeah.
There just needs to be enough of a boundary, enough of a barrier.
Tricky, though.
And I don't think, according to my opinion writers, they didn't feel that boundary between the editors forum and these funders was wide enough. And I mean, Hopewell was saying it's a pragmatic decision. We wanna defend journalists. We want to keep the industry alive.
Yes.
For that, we need money.
We need money. That's why I said it's
and we go,
complicated.
yeah, but I know you need money, but you have to take money from the people who are the banks are fleecing South Africans. They operate with impunity. They shut people's accounts left, right, and center without any reason.
Yeah.
That's the money that you want to take, bro.
It is complicated. We got very recently a sponsorship from a betting company. They advertised with us. I remember when they came through, the question was, am I willing to take this? And I looked at, we've carried this entire podcast for 350 episodes with no funding, zero funding. That means we carry all the costs that come with the editing and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I remember when they came through, that was the question I asked. But I said, how else do I keep the lights on? Because we completely understand that there'll be those who will come and say, but betting is a problem in society and so forth and so forth. I said, as long as we carry an important disclaimer that says you must be 18 years and older to bet, and you have to bet responsibly, I'm going to take this money because I need to keep this thing going. It's easy for us to just shut it down because people are saying, but you can't take betting money. We say, but you're watching the same soccer. That is sponsored by a betting company. Your favorite soccer celebrities, your favorite celebrities are sponsored by betting companies.
And they're doing ads for them in the same colors.
And everything is going well. And you watch the TV channels that are sponsored by the same betting companies. Poor us. Who are coming last, running, hey, the bus mustn't leave. And we are the ones who are saying, but you can't take this money. It's like all of you have been watching content from these betting companies for so long. So it is a tricky space where we find ourselves with what do you do when there's money on the table? And there's nothing illegal about it. Because that Patrice sponsorship and the banking sponsorship is not illegal.
No, it's on the table.
Yes.
Hey, yes, I'm giving you. And the work that SANEF does, right? I mean, if there's a journalist that's being targeted by a government entity, for example, and they can't afford particularly a freelance journalist. So it's not one of my journalists, because I've got an internal legal team that I'm very happy to unleash, and it's going to cost. I have to pay them.
You have to pay them,
but I have that guardrail. I have that safety net. A freelance journalist does not. So if the State Security Agency, for example, wants to target a freelance journalist, who's going to step in to defend that freelance journalist?
They need cash for the lawyers.
Cash. They need lawyers. They need the fees.
So that money is needed.
That money is needed. So I kind of understand. It's just but yeah, man,
it's a tricky one.
We expect, I think, audiences. I'm not saying South African audience. I think audiences in general, they expect a lot from very little. And if you look at the New York Times, is a very successful subscription model, right? The most successful news subscription model in the world. Wow! But they're also backed by a family who are the publishers. And we had an engagement with the former editor, Dean. What's Dean's surname? Anyway, the former editor, when he was still the editor a couple of years ago, was in conversation with us, and he says, what a fortunate position I am to be in as the New York Times. If I have a problem, I can throw $100,000 at it. I don't need to worry
about money.
Like, Wordle is threatening. Wordle is a big game that's taking everybody's attention. Cool, buy it, put it behind our paywall.
Let's carry on.
Wirecutter. What a wonderful new startup platform everybody's flocking to. Buy it. Put it on our platform. We don't have competitors.
That's why we're so successful.
I'm so much bigger than you. I can do what and in South Africa we don't have that.
But the competition continues to be rife, isn't it?
The competition is rife.
Yeah.
It is rife. But you know what I like about it? What's emerging now from this competitiveness is one of my biggest competitor is leaning into the investigative stuff. Right?
Ah, okay.
And you can see it because you want to click those things, right? My team is leaning into the impactful stuff, the contextual stuff.
Yes.
So like, Senzo, this is the latest that happened with Senzo Mkhulu.
The trial is obvious. Everybody wants
I'm going to give you the context of why that's important.
Got you.
Willie Oukamp is appointed. Dion George is fired.
Yes.
Why is it so important? What has the hunting lobby got to do with it?
What are they looking for?
Let me connect those dots for you, right? So this competition is no longer just for clicks. It's for the attention. You're defining yourselves
in your separate roles as competitors.
Exactly.
You're saying I'm about this.
Yeah.
I'm no longer about that.
And at various different fora, we sit around the same table and we debate issues. I mean, I sit in the Publishers Council of the IAB, and my counterpart at the competitor, I've invited her for a coffee next week when I'm back in Cape Town. Because there are things that affect the industry that we need to agree on and we need to discuss.
Your colleagues.
We're colleagues.
And competitors.
And competitors. There's a wonderful leader by the name of, a leadership consultant by the name of Simon Sinek. And he speaks very
Starts
beautifully.
Starts with Y. Is that the guy? Yes.
I think
Starts
so.
with
I think
Y.
so.
Yes.
And he talks about having a worthy rival. You have to have a worthy rival. And he's saying he had just come back from Microsoft, doing an event with Microsoft where Microsoft unveiled the Zune, their MP3 player. And he happened to be in a car with Apple's head of technology or whatever.
Yeah.
And he said to this guy at Apple, hey, Microsoft's kicking your ass here. I mean, they've got the Zune. It's an amazing product. And the Apple guy took the Zune, looked at it, and he goes, yeah, it's a great product.
Yeah.
Ours will be better in 2 years' time. So it's not that I need to react now because you've made this thing to challenge my iPod.
Yeah.
I need to now immediately I don't need to respond now.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. And I think that's the space. And I want us as editors and I want our journalists to be able to recognize and understand.
Yeah.
I think at the journalists level they do. I think at the ownership level and at the senior leadership level we don't enough. But the journalists ask each other for contacts all the time.
Yeah, of course.
They bump into each other.
And also it's such a small industry of former colleagues or former colleagues.
Exactly. I think I've probably worked with most of the people in the media industry.
Yes, because that's
in Cape Town. It's because I've been in radio, I've been in TV, I've been in digital, I've been in print, I've been in magazines. It's so you're bound to have bumped into some of these people before, and you don't burn bridges.
No. Try not to.
Yeah, exactly.
Try not to.
Exactly.
I've enjoyed this thoroughly, and I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I should have. You were involved with the Mandela thing, Mandela memory.
Yes, the Mandela memory. It was an interesting campaign that we decided to run because we realized it's a weird thing. Journalists perceive reality differently to the rest of the world.
Okay.
Right? We assume that because we as journalists know a thing, that everybody knows the thing.
Of course.
So when we write for other journalists. We don't write for audiences.
They're like jazz musicians.
Exactly.
They play for other jazz artists, not for us.
I listen to jazz and because I can appreciate good music. He's doing a F minor 7th over G6.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Now,
as an ordinary consumer.
Yeah, but somebody else is listening. That's not music.
What's that?
Where's the melody? Where's the what is that? Anyway, so
where's the chorus?
So, as a journalist, we've gotten to experience things, and that we don't talk about because to us it's not necessarily newsworthy. Meeting Mandela will always be. I always say this to my newsrooms, right? It breaks my heart that there will never be another story. A bigger story
breaking
than the
news.
day Mandela died.
Yes.
There will never be. I was on radio from the night Mac Maharaj announced his death not Mac Maharaj, the president announced his death, but Uncle Mac sent us all a message beforehand. Okay, get ready. from that night into the next morning, into the next evening, myself and the breakfast show host stayed on air the entire time. I was the news editor at the time.
Yeah.
There will never be another moment like that. Never, never, ever.
Do you know my experience quickly?
Yeah.
Opposite of yours. I was on air. I was doing 7 to 12, I think 7 to 9 or something. And I was told to go home. My experience is exactly the opposite. But we were always prepared for that moment.
Yeah.
As SABC, it said there's a lot of stuff prepared and so forth and so forth and so forth. One day you're going to get a call.
Yeah.
And that call will say, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
And then SABC News takes over.
Will take over.
That's what happened. For me, it was the exact opposite of your experience. But carry on.
So these are the stories and the anecdotes, right? Because to us it's not because it happened to me. Why is it newsworthy? But then we thought about it. We were like, wait, man, but like maybe other people have similar memories. Maybe other people bumped into Madiba at the Spaza shop. Maybe somebody caught him. You remember his Cressida broke down on the way to right now. Maybe somebody stopped to give him a lift and remembers that happening because they were in the car and they were a child, and like now, so many years later,
that's a special memory.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
One of my senior tech colleagues, he was a small baby when Madiba came to visit some apartment. He was visiting somebody in the apartment block wheel, and he picked him up and he hugged him. And he was a baby.
Imagine that.
And then he wrote a note on a napkin. And Fahim's mom kept the napkin for all these years. Still has the napkin.
What?
So like that's it. Now, in what world, in what conversation do you just insert, oh, by the way, Mandela picked me up as a baby? It does. So we
won't believe you.
So we thought let's create that space. Let's create that opportunity.
Yeah.
What's your Mandela memory? What is the thing that and for me it was I was a cub journalist working in the radio, and I mean it was Yasser Arafat that died. It was a good friend of Madiba's, and we got the call to say, hey, Madiba's flying to Cape Town from Joburg. He'll be at his Bishop's Court house at this time. He's going to make a statement. And
go.
Wow, man! To see him, David, the way, because this man was like he's retired already, right? To see this man hand his walking stick over, just take a breath and just the presence. What do the kids call it? Is the aura.
The aura.
His aura hit me.
Oh, hey, how are you?
It was wow, you took me back.
My experience was when he came to SABC.
Yeah.
To speak to Robert Marau on the sports show. And it was a whole thing. And we were all waiting and in anticipation. We were not allowed in the studio that we go to all the time. On that day, it was like, you stay out. And there he was over there. So we all saw him from a distance. Yeah. So you're right. There is a thing about his presence. Yeah. And then he was still, just retired as a president. Yeah. So he was still, all over the place. Yeah. Absolutely. He still had all the energy. So imagine that. So we all have a Mandela memory.
Everybody's got a Mandela memory, man. And I think we need, we need to talk about it. And sometimes it's small things that we need to talk about.
That's true.
Sometimes it's a small, because that's where we find our shared humanity. That's where we, like, I'm sure everybody remembers, well, I remember because it was my 13th birthday when we won the Rugby World Cup the first time, right? Mm-hmm. So like, where were you? Where were you when we won AFCON? Where were you when Simpiwe Chabalala scored
that goal. Oh, I remember exactly where I was.
Do you know what I mean? I was in PE because, well, at the time it was called PE because for ENCA I was covering the World Cup from there.
Look at that.
So, but I got to see Didier Drogba. He was sitting right there and he had a cast on his arm. And so like, what's your memory of the World Cup? And when we share these memories, when we talk about them, we realize our common humanity. And that's when we can start like building, as opposed to this divisive, there's a white genocide, and now Trump's not coming, Argentina's not coming.
No one is coming from the US.
Exactly.
I wonder who else is going to cancel. Do you think somebody else is likely to say?
Look, I mean, so Argentina's president said he's not coming. I don't know.
Do you think it's a result of the Trump?
I think it is as a result of Trump.
Because once it starts, it might just spiral.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for the global South to stand together and show solidarity.
This is that moment.
It's that moment for us to say, so why do we need the G20?
Do you think Putin will be here?
I don't know. Isn't he still at the arrest warrant out for him?
That's why I'm asking. That's exactly why I'm asking. Do you think anyone has the audacity to arrest Vladimir Putin?
I would not arrest Vladimir Putin.
You see what I mean? That's why I'm asking. Ooh, interesting times lie ahead. And considering that it's only now.
Dude, it's next week. And I wanted so badly to be here. But we have a plan. It's not necessary for me to come and attend the G20, but like just to be in the presence of all that power, good or bad, it's just these are the decision makers of that, and I don't know if South Africans understand that.
No, we don't.
The weight of the first G20 conference being held on African soil.
And you can't fault us. I always say, at the heart of what we do here as a company is communication. And at some point it was government communication. And we realize how, exactly what you said earlier about how journalists would write for other journalists. I think sometimes government has a tendency of communicating as a government entity amongst themselves without realizing that on the ground, the lady next door to your grandma's house knows nothing about this thing and its impact, and because their lives are not going to change.
Yeah, that's true. Some parts from the front yard to the sitting room are going to get cleaned up.
100%. The rest of it, and immediately after they leave, that part won't be cleaned up again for a while. And that until we have another World Cup. You see, so it's all those things that when you say you think South Africans don't quite get it, we don't. I'm sorry, we just don't. And even from the lowest of the lowest in terms of education to the very highest, we just don't. We are moving on because we have our own everyday problems.
Yeah.
We can talk until the cows come home. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much. And thanks for writing that article. Otherwise, I wouldn't have reacted like I did. Because I remember I saw it. It's like immediately I asked my niece, please let's find this guy. Thank you again.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll continue to support what you do. It's the editor-in-chief of Independent Online. Check it out. Thank you.
King David Studio Podcast.